Shabbat Shalom, family. Glory and honor to our Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, the one who created the space of time called the Shabbat, in which we rest and are rejuvenated, the one who sent Messiah, YHWH, who is the prophet, the priest, and the soon returning king of planet Earth, who is going to set up a kingdom which shall not be left to other people, and it shall never be destroyed. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth. Glory and honor to the atonement for sin and high priest, Messiah YHWH. Greetings to the 12 tribes that the Father has chosen before the foundation of the earth. Greetings to the 144,000 who are the forerunners of the return of the prophet, priest, and king, and the establishment of the eternal kingdom. Greetings. Greetings also to the children of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the ones who have been predestined for salvation through Messiah and through the true people of Jacob. Greetings. Greetings to the chat, Sister Castro, Isha Shama, and Brother Frankie. Listen to your body, Sister Daniels, Hebrew is Wanda, Brother Francis, Only One Way, Brother Brandon Beckman, Brother Superstar, Brother Wade, Brother Gary Joseph, and Hillary, and Sister Kyra Cross, and Brother Yafi, Brother Baldy, Sister Hillary, Brother Diamond Holdings, Brother Castle King, Sister Wade, Brother Lonnie, and Sister Joyce. Greetings to all of you. We have been studying the gospel according to Matthew. The gospel according to Matthew. And of course, we continue to look at the Messiah teaching the children of Israel. That's what the gospel is, that you read in Matthew, in Mark, in Luke, and in John, is the Messiah giving instructions to Hebrew Israelites. Somebody might say, well, wasn't he instructing Gentiles? Only in the light of Hebrew Israelites. He came, as we saw already in Matthew. He said, go not the way of the Gentiles, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Father had ordained already before the foundation of the earth, as the Bible says in more than 2 or 3 witnesses, Israel as his chosen people. He has not changed about who Israel is. He has not changed about it being the bloodline. He has not changed the promises to them. Yes, he has severely punished us, but now he is awakening us. Praise the Most High. And tonight we're looking at Matthew chapter 12. And before we go in, I just want to start off, as I usually do, with a little preamble. Let me ask a question. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of worship? Why do we worship anything? What is the purpose of it? What is the object of worship? Now, the Bible does tell us, as we well know, in the Gospel of John, chapter 4, Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Right? So, in fact, let's look at that. Brother Diamond Holding said to give Yah his glory. Yes, that's absolutely true. But look, let's look at it. So, and let's take what Brother Diamond Holding said also. So let's go first to John chapter 4. John chapter 4. And of course, the Messiah is talking to the Samaritan woman at the well. And let's begin at verse 21 and go down to verse 24 to go over the verses I just quoted. And we're going to combine that with what Brother Diamond Holding just said to give Abba Yah, his glory. This is absolutely true. Woman, believe me. Let me start at the beginning. YHWH saith unto her, Woman, believe me. The hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So, if you're going to be a worshiper of the Creator, this word is telling us we must worship him in spirit and in truth. Okay? Deuteronomy. Always go to Moses because Moses is the foundation. The Father gave him everything. Deuteronomy. We can go to two places here. Deuteronomy chapter 5 and Deuteronomy chapter 8. Same witness, two places. Our second witness here. But Brother Diamond Holdings said to give Father Yah his praise. So let's combine what the truth that Brother Diamond Holdings just shared with us, that the Father gave him. I can't say flesh and blood gave it to Brother Diamond Holmes. I'm sure he wouldn't say it either. It came from the Father. So he said to give Abba Yah his glory. So let's combine that with what we just read. So if you're going to worship the Father, you're going to worship him in spirit and in truth. So that means you're going to give him glory in your spirit and in truth. Does that make sense? So we want to give him his glory in spirit and in truth, which means we need his spirit to give him glory in spirit and in truth. Does that make sense, y'all? Truth. So then the question would ask, someone might ask, what is truth? Well, truth is every word that the Father speaks. Truth is every word that he's given to his Hebrew Israelite prophets. Truth is his spirit. Truth is his law. His covenant is truth. And of course, Messiah as the prophet, priest, and king made flesh. The word made flesh is truth. So the Messiah is truth. The Father's word is truth. His spirit is truth, right? All of that is truth. Now, you know very well, and I know very well, religions have used this very Bible to pervert the truth, which is why I come back to the question originally posed. What does it mean? What is the purpose of worshiping the Father? Well, Brother Diamond Holmes answered the question. You're going to give him praise. Okay. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 5. Deuteronomy chapter 5, which is the chapter which the covenant is repeated. It's not just Exodus 20. It's in Deuteronomy 5 too. 5 as well, I should say. I am going to start at verse, let me see. I'm going to start at verse when the people came to Moses and asked Moses to tell the Father to stop speaking. Okay, that was in Deuteronomy chapter 5. I'm going to start at verse 24 and go from verse 24 to 33. So, brethren, whenever we're confused about something, it's always good to go to the beginning, back to the foundation, right? Things get clear when you go back to the beginning, the foundation. Like, in other words, if you're ever involved in something and you forget what you're doing it for. Have you ever happened? You get so into something and you wonder, what am I doing this for again? What is this for? And you got to go back to what is the original purpose of what you're doing in order to understand why you're doing it, right? So the original question was, what's the purpose of worshiping the Father? What's the purpose of worshiping him? Brother Diamond Holdings answered it, but let's look at it some more. Let's get some witnesses from the word, aside from the spirit that the Father gave him to say that. Let's go back here. So let's go Deuteronomy chapter 5, beginning at verse 24. And ye said, behold, Yahweh our Most High has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that the Most High doth talk with man, and he liveth. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our Most High anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living Most High speaking out of the midst of the fire as we had and lived? Go thou near and hear all that Yahweh our Most High shall say, and speak thou unto us all that Yahweh our Most High shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. Now watch what the Father answered Moses. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when ye spake unto me. And Yahweh said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Verse 29. Oh, that there were such an heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. So to worship him, he wants fear, which means respect. He wants you to respect him. And if you ever have kind of any relation between a parent and a child, the best of those relationships is not when the parent becomes the child's buddy, although they want to be a friend unto them. You want the child to have respect for the word of the parent, and the parent to have understanding and wisdom with the child. Isn't that correct? So when you see that the child is being handled in wisdom and understanding, and the child has a proper respect for the parent, well then, brethren, this is Deuteronomy chapter 5, beginning at verse 24, Brother Castle King. And I just read down to verse 29, and I got more to read. But this is Deuteronomy chapter 5 from verse 24. And we're going to read all the way down to verse 33, but I'm stopping here at verse 29. So he said, oh, that they would have a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep my commandments always, that it might be well with them. So the parent wants what's good for us. So what's the purpose of worship the Father? We want to give him praise, and he wants what's good for us. And we need a specific type of heart. He said, oh, that there were such an heart in them. Now, of course, your heart is the ticker, right? But that's not what he's talking about. Really, he's talking about the heart of the mind, the heart of the brain, the heart of the thought process, the heart of the feelings. Oh, that there was such a being in you that you would want to obey me and do what I tell you to do for your good. So, as Brother Castle King said, Diamond Holdings said, you want to give him his glory because he is the creator, and you respect him. You respect him, but you need a heart of his spirit, right? So you need a new heart. The object of the new heart is for you to be like him. Not that you're going to be the Most High, but you would be like him in spirit. So one of the objects we can say, I think, is that we want to be like our Father. Any of you ever want to mimic your parents? Like we talked about this before. I used to go in my daddy's closet and step into his shoes. And it was too big for me, and I tried to walk in his shoes. Why? Because that's my daddy. I wanted to be like him. We want to be like our Father. What's the object of worship? To be like him. Well, what is he? He's perfect in righteousness. He's perfect in truth. He's perfect in love. And he wants us to be like him. This is the object of worship, at least one of them. Let's keep going, though. verse 30. So let's start at verse 29 again and go down to verse 33. This is Deuteronomy chapter 5. Oh, that there was such an heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, get you into your tents again, he told Moses. But as for thee, Most High tells Moses, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. And ye shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your Most High have commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Most High have commanded you, that ye may live, and that it might be well with you, and that ye might prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. So, just like any parent, he says, I want you to listen to what I tell you to do. The statutes and judgments were given to Israel as a means of teaching them how to interact with each other and how to respect their God. Which is why the Messiah say all the law hangs on two principles. Love Yahweh your Most High with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. Oh, that there was such a heart in them. That means your spirit. And love your neighbor as yourself. All the law hangs on this. All interactions hang on this. Why do we worship the Father? We want to be like him. Wait, he said, to walk in all his ways. Isn't that what he just said? Ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Most High have commanded you. Which brings me to Deuteronomy chapter 8, which says the very same thing. After he said he humbled them, Deuteronomy chapter 8, we're going to begin at verse 1 and go down to verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 8, from verse 1 to verse 6. All the commandments which I command thee this day ye shall observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers. Thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy Most High led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. Notice he mentions the heart again. See, when you're dealing with heart, you're dealing with what? Your spirit. So it's about the spirit of the Father. Remember, brethren, in order to be like your Father, you need his spirit. His spirit is not about telling you what time the sun sets, how many steps you can walk on the Shabbat, how long your dress has to be, how long your beard has to be, how long your hair should be before you cut it. Your heart is about a spirit, and that heart must be given to the Spirit of the Father, because they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And in coming for his spirit, it is a natural outcome that you will give him praise. You will give him praise, a heart of thanksgiving. Let's keep reading. In thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh doth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahweh thy Most High chasteneth thee. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahweh thy Most High, to walk in his ways and to fear him. The object of worship is to walk in the ways of the Heavenly Father. So it's important, brethren, very important. In the foundation of our, if you want to call it religion, in the foundation of our worshiping of our God, We must have a proper concept of who he is. He is not a tyrant. He is a living, breathing God. He is above all. He is all wise. We can completely trust him. And in order to give him praise, we need his spirit dwelling in our hearts. As Paul says, that Messiah may dwell in your hearts by faith, and that you be rooted and grounded in love. That Messiah may dwell in your hearts by faith. That is the spirit of the Father. So never forget, the object of worshiping the Father is not how many times a day you pray or how long you pray. It's a desire for his spirit to dwell in you, that you might be like him. It's a desire to walk in his ways, to bring him glory, because you are obedient to him only by the power of his spirit. You see, that's the difference between us and religions. That's the difference between us and religions. Over the course of time, from Moses to David to Jeremiah and Isaiah and Ezekiel to Samuel, over the course of time, there has been examples of people who walked in the Father's spirit. And over the course of time, we as a nation would fail to see that. That's why the brethren came to Moses and let them stop talking to us. They didn't understand the power that was being given to them. And Moses had to end up, Joshua even said, stop Eldad and Medad for speaking in the camp. You're supposed to do that, Moses. Moses said, are you jealous for me? What to the Father that all of us were filled with his spirit and were prophets. The people didn't see the bigger picture. He comes down from the mountain with his face glowing by the Father's spirit, and they're scared of him, not understanding. That was the object for all of us. Yah is a light, and in him is no darkness at all. Let us always remember the foundation of why we worship. It's not religion. We are a nation. He never said, I'm going to be your religion. He did say you're not going to worship any other gods, but you're a chosen nation. A nation, he said, of priests, a holy priesthood, and kings. Kings, real kings. David said something very, very powerful about kings in, I think it was 2 Samuel. I want to look at 2 Samuel. I'm just finished now. I'm in 2 Kings. I just finished 2 Samuel last week. In 2 Samuel, David is one of David's last words. Yes. 2 Samuel chapter 23. 2 Samuel chapter 23. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 4. Beautiful, powerful words from the prophet David, who is also king of Israel. Now, these be the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, said, the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the Most High of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel said, the Spirit of Yahweh spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. And the Most High of Israel said, the Rock of Israel spake to me, he that ruleth over men must be just. That's a king right there. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall be as the light of the morning, when the sun riseth, even a morning without clouds, a tender grass springeth out of the earth by clear shining after the rain. There are people that are in religion that are tyrants in their own house. You know how I know? Because I was one of them. There are people in religion that can be tyrants in their own house. Man, if we only understood this verse. must be just, ruling in the fear of Yahweh, understanding his spirit, being as light and not darkness. Praise the Most High. Just that. See, let us not forget, what is the object? What is the purpose of us worshiping the Father? Yes, we want to give praise and honor to his name, but we want to be like him. We want to have light coming from us. We want his spirit to dominate our spirit, that we might give him glory. That's the object. Whenever people tell you about how long your beard's supposed to be, some fool came in and said, "Where's your beard, brother?" A woman said that to me. "Where's my beard?" See, that's religion. First of all, the Bible never says we're supposed to have a beard. David mentions having a beard, and if you have it, he said, don't cut it the way the heathen cut it. But that doesn't mean you have to have a beard, but people don't run off with that. And then got to the point of it being a religious thing, and then all of a sudden, where's yours? Or, how come you don't keep the feast? You can't be in the truth if you don't keep the feast. That's religion. That's a lack of understanding of the Father and of his word. Because as we know, we're in our enemy's land. That's our true condition. Can't keep feasts in your enemy's land. Well, why not? Israel kept feasts in their own land when they didn't have to ask anybody about feasts. You got to ask your master if you could have all for your feast. Is that the feast of the hour? You got to ask your master, can I have all for this feast, master? Nope. Unless you use all your own time. We are scattered people, scattered in our enemy's land. We got to never forget that. We're not Egyptians when we are living in Egypt. We're Hebrews living in Egypt. We're Hebrews living in Egypt. Man, we're just fortunate, Brother Francis. We're awakening, that's all. We was just like that too. All of us. Just like that. Hey, listen, if you've ever been in the Christian religion, there are people, and I think most of us have met such ones, that have literally lost their minds trying to follow religion. There are people that have had such heinous things happen to them. They escape into religion to try to gain control. Do you know what I'm talking about? They try to escape into religion. The more rigid, the better, because they feel like they have control when everything is lost because of some heinous thing that happened to them. It makes it worse. That's why the Messiah told the religionist named Nicodemus, he said to the religionist named Nicodemus, he said, unless you are born of water and of the Spirit, you cannot see the kingdom. You must be born again. And him being a religionist, which is kind of the same as being a carnal man, can't see in the spirit. How can we go back in our mother's womb? Can we be back in our mother's womb and be born? That's carnal man, religion talking. That's pray 5 times a day. That's 10 Hail Marys. That's make sure you show up to Sabbath and pay your tithe. That's religion. See, brethren, it's dangerous, as the Messiah getting ready to show us in Matthew 12. When religion takes over, people become spiritually blind. Blind to their own true condition. Blind to the Father, who he is, what he represents, what it means to worship him. Spiritually dead. Worst thing in the world is religion. Religion has caused more people to lose their minds, lose their souls, break bodies, destroy people than anything, including wars. Religion is what's got the world messed up now. It's the cross between people that are caught up in religion and people running away from religion. That's what you got. That's right. Works without the Spirit is dead. See, with respect to feast, we look forward to the kingdom when we're going to keep the feast. Really keep the feast. As the Bible shows us, the whole earth is going to keep the feast of the tabernacles. Imagine that. Instead of us looking for white Jesus or Santa Claus, the whole earth is going to keep the feast of tabernacles. The whole world. Heathen, everybody. That's going to be a feast. There's going to be, everybody's going to be, nobody's going to have to ask anybody for time off. The whole earth's going to keep the feast. See that? Right now we can acknowledge it. Obviously, we just had the Pentecost last Sunday. We can acknowledge it, but we can't really keep it. We can hope for the future as the shadow of things to come. As the shadow of things to come. Praise the Most High. But in the Messiah's day, our people were run by religion. The Sanhedrin is the religion, the Jews' religion. They turned it into this thing called Judaism, which is ridiculous. Then they tried to claim that Abraham created Judaism. Abraham never created no religion in the Bible that I see. But he was promised to become a great nation. Praise the Most High. So the object, to answer our original question posed, the object of worship is to give glory to the Creator by receiving of his Spirit and becoming like him. And so our concept of who the Creator is and what type of being he is will color how we act. If you look at him as a mean tyrant, guess what you're going to become? If you look at him as a flower child, guess what you're going to become? But if we can have a proper concept of perfect righteousness, truth, and mercy and grace in one spirit, guess what we become? See? So, brethren, we want to avoid religion, especially man-made rules and regulations about what to do. The Spirit of the Father give us instructions in his word. As we receive the understanding in his Spirit, we obey. But in the meantime, guess what he does? He puts a new coat on us. Isaiah chapter 61. Isaiah chapter 61. I'm going to start at verse 8. It's Isaiah chapter 61 from verse 8 to verse 11. Isaiah chapter 61 from verse 8 to verse 11. There's a lot more in Isaiah, but I'm just going to stick with that for our time's sake. For I, Yahweh, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering. I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. They and them is us. Praise the Most High, Israel. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them that they are the seed which Yahweh hath blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Most High. For he hath clothed me with garments of salvation, and he hath covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with jewels. For as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causeth the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Most High Yahweh will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all nations. That's why we worship him. That's why we worship him. He covers us in all our imperfection with his own perfection. He sent forth Messiah, his son, to set it up so that this can happen, so that we can be covered in the perfect gift of righteousness. We want to be like him. That's the object of religion. Never forget that, brethren. That's the foundation of what we are doing in worshiping Father Yah. Don't forget that. And people with their religious dogmas will cause you to forget it. They will. They will. You know it, and I know. We've seen it. We've lived it. We've lived it. If you've been near white Jesus, you've lived it. Praise the Most High. Well, let's go. I'm going to give you one more, though. I got to give you one Paulian one. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Yes. Look here. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I'm going to begin at verse 6. I'm going to begin at verse 6, and I'm going to read 2 Corinthians chapter 4 from verse 6. Verse 12. 6 to 12. For Yahweh, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Messiah YHWH. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Yah and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Master, YHWH, that the life also of YHWH might be made manifest in our body. For we which live are always delivered unto death for Messiah's sake, that the life also of YHWH might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death worketh in us, but life in you. See, when we're walking in the Spirit of the Father through Messiah, everything works for our good. Everything. And we are praised to his name. That's true religion. That's true worship. I wish, I feel from when I left the SDA church to when I started getting into me and my daddy and just his word and his spirit, it is so freeing. I totally understand what Paul said. To walk in the Spirit is liberty. It really is. Because I was free from all of those man-made rules and doctrines and stuff from Ellen White and all that. It was the Word and the Father's Spirit in him. Very simple, very powerful. Praise the Most High. And I am humbled, as you are, by what he's done for me. Praise the Most High. And his promises going forward. Praise the Most High. So now, with that in mind, we understand now what Messiah is getting ready to say in Matthew chapter 12. Let's go there. And again, let us always remember, see, brethren, because we're continually battling brainwashing. There's brainwashing. First of all, I know that many of y'all who are broken out of Christianity and other religions, you understand that you're broken out of brainwashing. It's very basic too. White Jesus is brainwash. It's a brainwash. White, flowery, soft Jesus is brainwash. Christianity, brainwash. It's white supremacy. Christianity is white supremacy. Brainwash. Not knowing who you are, brainwashed. So now you look at the Bible, it takes you a long time to understand as a Hebrew. Messiah is in Matthew talking to your brethren by blood. He's talking to Hebrews. He's conveying the covenant, how it's supposed to be. See, the Father is trying to teach our people. It's in the heart. It's in the spirit. It's not in the letter. It's not in the flesh. It's in the spirit. You walk in the spirit. You will obey in the flesh by walking in the spirit. Perfection is not something you can achieve. It's something you will receive. Let me say that again. Perfection is something you cannot achieve, but it is something you can receive. And what you have freely been given, that you freely give. So that the word of the Father is for us to be obeyed. And the Messiah was conveying that, doing away with all the man-made Jews' religion and teaching the people what the Father meant for his law to look like. What does the law look like when it's lived out in the man? Messiah YHWH. That's what it looks like. The real Messiah. A lion of the tribe of Judah. That's what it looks like. Giving glory to his Father. Living for his Father. Using his Father as an example. Praise the Most High. So now, he comes on the Shabbat. Now, the Sanhedrin and the Jews' religion, as a matter of fact, Judaism in general. I went to Baruch College in New York City. One of 3 schools I got degrees from. A lot of debt too. But I went to Baruch College in New York City. Bernard Baruch was a old Ashkenazi politician in New York. And I don't know what it's like now because I graduated in the 80s from Baruch College. But when I was there, it was majority Ashkenazi Jewish. They kept all of the feast days. We got off for the holidays plus feast days. Okay. A lot of professors were Ashkenazi Jewish. So I would sometimes get into conversations about religion with them. Sometimes. So I was talking to one and we were talking about the Shabbat. And he said, well, do you drive on the Shabbat? Do you turn your lights on the Shabbat? You know, there's about 23 different rules for the Shabbat in the Talmud. I said, no, I didn't know that. He said, yeah, you can't keep the Shabbat unless you keep all the rules that go with the Shabbat. And I said, that's not true. I just sloughed that off because I said, that's ridiculous. But that's what happens when man starts to be glorified in worship. Every time. When man starts to be glorified in worship, that's what happens. You end up with a lot of rules that's outside of the word, outside of the spirit, outside of the Father. And Messiah came to destroy all of that, to absolutely annihilate it. That's why he came. One of the reasons. Not all the reasons, but one of the reasons. And he's going to give an example of that right here in Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. Matthew chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. And I'm going to read down to verse 8. Matthew chapter 12. Exactly, Brother Diamond. In slavery in our enemy's land. Yes, exactly. So, but one thing though, we do understand we will not be in slavery for long. The Most High has given us the feasts that we cannot even properly keep as a sign of the return of Messiah and as a sign of our deliverance. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just like the Father? He takes the feasts that he only gave to Israel, and when Israel's enslaved and in their enemy's land, he uses those same feasts to show them when their deliverance is coming. Praise the Most High. Matthew, exactly. Matthew chapter 12 from verse 1 to 8. At that time, YHWH went on the Shabbat day through the corn, and his disciples were in hunger, and he began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. He did that on purpose, obviously. They expected him to be hungry, walk through the field of corn, and not eat, because it was the Shabbat. Because to pluck the corn would be work. And you're not supposed to work on the Shabbat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. Now, were they right? That's the first question we should ask. Were they right? Were the disciples actually breaking the Shabbat? Which means the Messiah was overseeing people breaking the Shabbat. Is that true? Were they breaking the Shabbat? Now, there's Christians that will tell you, well, he purposely was telling you the law was done away with. We can safely ignore such foolishness. Messiah was confirming the covenant. So, just by logic, it's very simple. If Messiah was without sin, and sin is the transgression of Father Yah's law, by logic, Messiah is not sinning, therefore, eating the corn was not against the Sabbath. Does that make sense, y'all? So if the Bible defines sin as the transgression of the law, Bible says, whosoever sinneth transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. And if Messiah lived without sin, that means he was not breaking the Sabbath. He never would break the Sabbath because he's without sin. Does that make sense, y'all? So if he's without sin and he's eating the corn, those telling him he's breaking the law are wrong. Those telling him he's breaking the law are wrong. So that means that the religious leaders had a misconception of the Father's law. Is that correct? The religious leaders had a misconception. These are the people teaching the people now. And they had a misconception of the Father and his law. Do you think that it's possible that religious leaders today have a misconception of the Father and his law? Verse 3. But he said unto them, Have ye not read what David did when he was an hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of Yahweh and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, for neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests? Or have ye not read in the law how that on the Shabbat days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? What does that mean? If they circumcised the baby on the Sabbath, that was work. But they're blameless. Verse 6, but I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple. If ye had known what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, ye would not have condemned the guiltless. So he just said that the Pharisees, you accused people that were not guilty of doing what you just accused them of doing. Then he said, for the Son of Man is master even of the Shabbat. Master. That's like a 4th degree black belt in Shotokan. And a white belt going to try to tell him how to kick. A 4th degree black belt in Shotokan. Or even a 5th degree, a master in the martial art of Shotokan, and a white belt, somebody just coming into the dojo going to say, let me show you how to kick. That's like these clowns trying to tell the Messiah how to keep the Shabbat. See? So the Messiah destroyed their man-made rules of Shabbat. Destroyed. And you can see what we are talking about when we say religion causes people to become blind. Not only did they mess up the Sabbath for themselves and everybody else that listened to them, not only that, they didn't even recognize that the man that's talking to them is the Messiah. He's standing right in front of them. The Messiah, the hope of Israel, is right in front of them. And they couldn't recognize him because of their religion. Listen, brethren, it's the same thing now. Look, we all have found out that according to the Bible, not according to religion, according to the Bible, the people who were put on slave ships and went over the rivers of Ethiopia, who were brought in chains to their enemy's land, to a land they didn't understand the language, who are in want of all things, we understand from the Bible, those are the Hebrews. And here we are in the midst of everyone, and nobody recognizes who we are. Here we are right in front of them. Right in front of them. And you know what? They can hear us sing and dance. They can see the creativity in the Hebrews, in every area of life. They can see with all the oppression, all of the poison, all of the stuff they tried to feed us and do to us, we still hear. They see that. And they don't recognize who's causing us to be here. Because religion has blinded them. Religion causes greed. It causes all the worst instincts that's in a sinner. Really and truly. And you've seen it. The worst people are religionists. They're the most demanding, right? The most demanding, the most exacting, right? The meanest, demanding, exacting, mean. And they say they love the Most High. Some of them are pedophiles, rapists. Some of them are thieves. And they say they love God. It's a dangerous thing, brother. It's a dangerous, dangerous thing. That's why 666 is indeed man made religion. 666. It's man trying to be his own God, breaking the very first of all commandments. I am Yahweh, thy most high, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's the very first one. And so, brethren, in order to obey the first one, what do? We want to be like him. We want his spirit. We want to seek his face. It's the first one. And once you break that, the all rest of them is broke. Once you break that, once you have a false God, you done broke all of them. Now, you're done. You're done. Once you have a false God. And the simplest thing is between you and the Father. That's it. You and him. You don't need nobody else. It's you and him. It's y'all two dealing with you. You know, I always liken it to when you're with your girl, right? You love your girl. This is even before you and your girl got married. And everybody, without exception, you're going to have a conflict at some point. You and her, or she and you and him if you're a woman. You're going to have a conflict. There's going to be a test of your relationship. And when you have this conflict, right, you don't need the relatives involved, the cousins, the friends. You and her or you and him have to be alone so you can talk. Isn't that right? You don't need nobody else Because why? Because everybody else, we just interfering. You just need you and your person to be you and them alone so y'all can talk and work your way through this bump that comes to everybody. And that's the way it is with the Most High. There are so many things, stuff between you and the Father. And it just messes you up. He's trying to talk to us, but we can't hear him because we got all this other stuff. We got church, Wednesday night prayer meeting, reading this book and that book, and showing up to this meeting and that meeting, and knocking on doors and giving tithe, meeting with the pastor. There's so many things. And what happens to brother with religion? The most damaging thing, brother, is what it does to your conscience. See, because you can't keep up. See, man can't really be a God. He can't. And so what happens, we're not made to be gods. So as trying to run our own lives, trying to be in a man-made religion, it becomes very difficult. It becomes difficult. It wears you down. And then you start fronting because you got to keep up appearances. I mean, you are a Christian, right? It's sad, really. I'm praising the Most High for his spirit and for his word. I'm praising him for the Messiah, the high priest, the only prophet, priest, and king. I'm praising him for the truth of his word, for showing us who we are. I'm praising him that his word is eternal and it never changes. I'm praising him because despite what our fathers did and what we did, he has not cast us off. I'm praising him for his promises. And that's what happens when you want to be like the Father. You praise him all the time. That's right. For his spirit, for his word, for his truth, for his mercy and grace toward us. That's what happens when you start to know him. You praising him all the time. Don't need to be in no congregation. Don't need to have no long beard or no long dress with long covers. Don't need to be dressing like you in the 1800s. Don't need no books from Joseph Smith or Ellen White or the Watchtower. What you need is just you and him, his spirit and his word. All him and you. Praise the Most High. Yes, they condemn the guiltless. That's what happens when you're a religionist. That's what happens. Praise the Most High. Okay. Chapter 12 of Matthew. From verse 9 to verse 14. Brother Catholic King. And you know what else, Brother Catholic King? No long math equations. Oh, man. Matthew chapter 12. Only he would get that. Only Matthew chapter 12 from verse 9 to verse 14. Matthew chapter 12 from 9 to 14. And when he was departed thence, he went into their synagogue. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Shabbat days, that they might accuse him? The accuser of the brethren, the accuser of the Messiah. And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Shabbat day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath day. Then saith he to the man, stretch forth thine hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. Then the Pharisees went out and held counsel against him, how they might destroy him. You know, one day I came to my father, my daddy, when he was alive, rest in peace. And it was a Shabbat. And I came to see him, and he had, he was out of diapers. And he needed diapers. And it was Shabbat. And I went to the store and got him diapers and got him some juice and got him stuff that he needed. Did I break the Sabbath? He was in need of things that he didn't have. And I went in there, and the nurse had her hands full trying to control the mess. So I went and got him what he needed. Did I break the Sabbath? No, I didn't even think twice about it. See, my wife hesitated a little bit. Wait. I said, no. You see, brethren, what's natural? What's natural when you want to do well, when you want to show love? What's natural when you want to show love? Huh? See? That's right. Do the right thing. Always do the right thing. There's another sister who I won't name because I don't want to embarrass her, but her sister came to see her, and it was on the Shabbat, and she hadn't seen her sister in a long time. And her sister wanted to sit down and eat with her at a diner. And they went to the diner to eat, and they had a good time, and it was the Shabbat. Did she break the Shabbat by seeing her sister who came to see her in a diner? You see, brother. Of course, we want to rest on the Shabbat. That's the object. And that's, again, this is the object. The object of Shabbat is rest. All day, every day, different times, we give him praise to the Father. We wake up giving praise. We go to sleep giving praise. During the day, we give praise. Praise the Most High. But on Shabbat, you continue to give him praise. But the object is rest. To take stress off of you. To be they call it recreation. Notice recreation in English, right? Recreation. Recreation is recreation. You're renewing yourself. You're being refreshed. That's what the Father did. He rested from his works on the Shabbat. So it's about rest, which means, to me, the first thing that has to go on the Shabbat is stress. That's the first thing got to go. Now, sometimes I admit I'm not successful with getting rid of it. Most times I am, though. Praise the Most High, like tonight. Praise the Most High. Rested, stress-free. Last Shabbat was not so. But this Shabbat is. And as I think was just saying, was it, I can't remember which one of your brothers was just saying it, but was it Diamond? I don't know if it was Diamond Holdings or which one of you. But do the best you can to get rid of stress. It got to the point with our family, I stopped coming. Well, I came to church, but it was not restful. It was not restful. It was stressful to get dressed in the morning on Shabbat, to get ready to try to make it to Sabbath school on time. It was stressful. And I didn't like that for my children. So what I ended up doing was, after Sabbath school, I take my kids out of church. We go change our clothes and we go walking in the woods. And brethren, the kids started looking forward to Shabbat. They started looking forward to it. It's almost Sabbath. We're gonna go. We used to call it discovering, and they had their little Moses sticks. They call them Moses sticks. Each of them had their stick, and we'd walk through the woods and just get lost. I'd take them to, there'd be like several state forests. I'd pick one and we'd go out, and we just spent the whole early afternoon, and then we'd come back and mommy would have food ready, and they just looked so forward to that because it was recreation. There was no stress. There was no sitting in church all tied up and bound because yourself keeping the Shabbat. And I praise the Most High that I did that. It was of the Most High. Some of our best times, my times with my children, me and them, me discovering who they are, listening to them, was on days like that. I'd take them out. Some days we'd be near a park, and I'd just take them to the park and chase them. We play hide and seek. I'm coming to get you, and I'll be chasing them. But usually I'd take them to the woods. It'd be some state forest, or one time we lived in a place with 500 acres of nothing but woods, and I'd take them out there, and I'd chase them. I'd be tired too, but it was fun. We were just discovering places. We purposely tried to get lost and find our way back. Best times ever. Best times ever. And that was the Shabbat. And they would look forward to that. They couldn't wait to get out of Sabbath school so we could go to the woods. Yeah, it was beautiful, man. So that's what Shabbat's about. Rest. What can you do to surround yourself on Shabbat with rest? What does rest mean to you? That means no stress, right? I mean, I think everybody agrees with that. Rest is no stress. There's no stress in rest. I'm not trying to be a rapper. I'm just saying there's no stress in rest, though. There's no stress in rest. So how are you going to relieve stress? What are you going to do? And what I did is I prayed about that one. That didn't just come from me. Flesh and blood did not do that. I was praying and I was like, how could I make Shabbat good for my kids? I don't want them to be cooped up. I would see people with their little kids cooped up with their suit and their ties on, and they just sitting there and they can't run and they can't walk. They can't go nowhere. They got to sit there and listen to some drive-behind sermon. Little kids. So I said, there's got to be something better. Right? And I prayed, and one day I just took them. Mommy said, where you going? I said, I'm taking them to such and such state forest. Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I'm going to. And we started doing it, and then it became a weekly thing. We were going out there, and they had these little Moses sticks, and they be going through the wilderness. And we have our little favorite spots where we stop and sit. It might be a giant boulder. It might be a spot under a tree. And we just go, man. And then when we moved to New Hampshire, it was even, like I said, that was 570 acres we was on. And there was nothing but woods all around us. And man, we was looking all through, we done tramped all through there. You know, and sometimes we go mountain biking through there. Just go through there. Man, please. You know what I'm saying? So, and they looked, the key thing is, they would look, man, it's almost Sabbath. They would say, it's almost Sabbath. They would look forward to it. Then I had special Barbie dolls for Shabbat. And they used to make church with their Barbie dolls. And they be up. After we did our walk through the woods, we come home. They all take showers. Mommy would have food for them, dinner. Then after dinner, they go into one of their rooms and you could hear them in there all night playing characters on church. We would have stuff like that for them for Shabbat. So they looked forward to it. They loved it. And that's what you want, man. You want rest. You want joy and happiness as much as possible on the Shabbat. No stress. You know, anything that causes stress or causes yelling, just try to avoid that. Try to have peace on the Shabbat as much as you can. Try to refresh whatever way refreshment is for you. You know, for me, sometimes refreshment is working out because I'm in front of the computer all the time in my job. So for me, working out, I can get a nice workout and get a nice shower and then change my clothes and chill. That's good. Sometimes me and mommy go for a long walk if it's not too hot. And that's cool. And that's what I'm saying. It's got to be rest. Whatever causes less stress on your spirit and causes you to give praise to the Creator because you've rested and you're recreated, recreation. That's what you want. That's what you want, brethren. You understand? That's rest. Don't let man tell you how to rest. Let the Spirit of the Father show you. And that makes it beautiful. Because like I said, I didn't make that up. The Father gave that to me. I was worried about my children. How do I do this for my children? I don't want them to be cooped up in no church like that. How did I do that? And he gave me that. Pray to the Father. Ask him, Father, I need rest. I need peace. Most of us are under stress. And I don't need to be a doctor, and I don't need to tell you stress kills more people than anything else. More disease and stuff come from stress than anything else. I've seen perfect vegans die of stress-related cancers. Stress is a killer. And so if you can ask the Father anything about, please, Father, show me how to relax. Show me how to rest. Show me how to get rid of my stress. Take it from my spirit. Brethren, that's right there worth health right there. That's worth 1,000 doctor visits. Right there. See, what the Pharisees were teaching was bringing stress to the people. Stress, fear of the Father, fear of worry, fear of being in hell, right? Am I going to go to hell? That's a stressed person. Am I going to go to hell? That's a stressed person right there. Praise the Most High. Yeah, I knew chapter 12 was going to have some stuff to it, man. It does. So instead of rejoicing in what he just taught them, the religious leaders were planning on killing him. That's what religion does, brethren. That's the result of man-made religion. That's right. The Father brings peace and ease. Religion brings stress. Instead of rejoicing what Messiah just taught them, they're planning. They said, what? Then the Pharisees went out and held counsel against him, how they might destroy him. Hey, that sounds familiar. Whosoever would not worship the image of the beast, right? Whosoever would not worship the image to the beast should be killed. There it is again. Without fail, man-made religion produces stress and death. Without fail. Praise the Most High. We'll continue this by the grace of the Father tomorrow. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.